This is the EVP Podcast.
Welcome to the EVP Podcast, everybody, with your host, Ghosty.
I'm the DVO.
I'm a beaker.
And on today's episode, we are going all the way across the pond to England.
Just across the pond.
Yeah, just across there. To Gloucestershire.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, you all know exactly where this is.
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, there it is. But anyways, we are going to check out the Ancient Ram Inn.
Spooky.
Spooky.
Yeah, I remember seeing this place a while back. This is the first time I've actually heard about ley lines. And This is the first time I've actually heard about, like, succubuses.
Yeah, that was the first time I heard of Succubus.
Yeah, so...
I knew the Incubus. They're a pretty good band. I heard a couple songs of
I heard a
theirs.
few of their songs before as well.
But the first I heard of Succubus.
How did you like their music?
They kind of sucked.
They sure did. But anyways, this place is old as shit. This is like 1,000 years old.
Definitely
It's still
haunted.
Definitely haunted.
Meets the criteria.
500. Yep.
Meets all the right criteria.
It's
Definitely
over
does.
500 years old.
So this place was built in 1145.
Yep, that was over 1,000 years ago.
Yes.
I remember that year, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I was there.
when that was built, this was built as a keeping house for workers who were building the St. Mary's Church across the street.
That's what they want you to think.
That's the only news I have about it.
It was a front for the sex slaves of the priests. I have no idea. I'm making shit up.
So anyways, after these slave workers were gone, then the priest ended up living there and had a bunch of owners since then. And then from 1930 till it was bought by John Humphreys in 1968, that was privately owned. But it used to be a pub at one point too. It was a pub for a very long time. But when John Humphreys bought it, and he only bought it for £2,600.
What's the equivalent, do you know?
To dollars?
Yeah.
It's usually real close, not too far off.
Okay.
Yeah, in the
So-
60s, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, 60s, $2,600. Bought this big-ass building, 1,000-year-old building.
Still a pretty good deal.
That's awesome.
I would assume that sounds like a good deal.
So, since he bought it, he dedicated his life to fixing it up and turning it into an inn, a bed and breakfast. But he only was able to do that for a few years before it was too dangerous to stay as a bed and breakfast. But so really, what he was doing to continue things like that was he would do overnights for paranormal investigations for people to check it out, and not a lot of people could stay the whole night.
Well, you say he dedicated his life, as in he let his whole family leave him behind. Because they didn't want to stay.
Yeah.
And he's like, I will stay.
So
I will procure this place.
I'll save it.
I'll save it.
So his wife and kids all got up and left.
Yep.
Yeah, do you know where they went?
I don't.
I don't either.
Across the pond.
Probably
Across
across
the
the
street.
pond.
Across the
They
road.
came to America, where dreams are made.
So, but yeah. So this place where it sits, and with the history behind all the different all the different owners, 1,000 years old, all the people that must have died in this place too over the time. But not only is this place like super haunted, there's also other super haunted places nearby, and they all kind of lay on these lines.
There you go.
What do you know about these, Tim?
The ley lines?
Yeah, what are they
That's a
about?
weird way to bring that in there. So ley lines, if you don't know what they are, because I don't think we've talked about them before on the
No,
show.
we have not.
And I didn't know, like you mentioned the name. I've never heard. I know what they are, but I never heard the name. So the name itself is new to me, but I know what they are. But continue, Beaker.
So ley lines are basically like these imaginary lines, if you will, that you really can't see them, but it's kind of like, the best way I can describe it is it's kind of like rivers of energy that connect places to each other. So they think that some of the ley lines that come to Ancient Ram in here come from Stonehenge. And there's actually, like, you can go online, you can see like a map of all the ley lines.
So for
or all the
example,
major
like
ley lines.
you think of. Tell me if I got this right or wrong. So if you think of maybe like. Maybe I'm phrasing this wrong, but this is my assumption. If you think of haunted locations or unusual locations like Stonehenge, Ancient Ram Inn, name a couple other places, and you look at them on a map, you're like, wait a minute, these are all lined up.
Yes.
But they're different parts of the world
Kind of
and they
like
line up.
kind of like your chakras, how like when your chakras are all in alignment. Like would be like the Earth's chakras.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
and these aren't even like these are all just like within the same country. This isn't like
okay.
far across.
So like
other places.
So like
no, this is all in the.
From what I understand, like Stonehenge would be like a center where ley lines come from. So I mean, you wouldn't have. There'd be basically just these energy lines that connect to other places, and they're usually like national monuments or stuff like that. So I know of two like major locations where ley lines stem from, and that would be Easter Island and Stonehenge. So with Stonehenge being not that far from here, you have all that energy coming to this place. Another reason why you have a lot of energy coming to this place is you've got a couple streams nearby, like right across the street, and they actually redirected a couple of these streams to build this inn and the church and all that. And they say when they did that, it opened up a dark portal of energy.
Dun, dun, dun. Now, do you know Stonehenge, Ancient Ram? Do you know other locations on this ley line?
The Woodchester Mansion and St. Briavel's Castle.
Okay, so you look at them on the map. These 4 places are all in basically like a
But
line.
these 2 other places I just mentioned are super haunted as well.
Right.
But yeah, so they should
That's
all
interesting.
be in a straight. Like you should be able to draw a straight line through all these places to Stonehenge.
That's pretty interesting.
And then let's see. One could be traced through Glastonbury. Let's see. Yeah, didn't say which other place that. Because it says it goes through 2. There's 2 ley lines that run through it, but I don't know where the other one goes through.
Okay, interesting.
Because Stonehenge is the only important one.
Yeah, that's right. That's the only one people are gonna know.
Yep.
And then you had you were gonna talk about the EVP that you had and that some of the dark stuff that went on.
You want to hear some dark stuff?
Yeah, I want to hear that
so,
dark shit.
Like I said, you had to redirect these rivers or these streams, and they say that it brought a dark portal of energy. So what kind of stuff came along with this dark
So
portal?
let me read some of my notes here. All right, so we're gonna talk about the basement, and we're gonna go back to Mr. Humphreys here. So he was digging down the basement. Just I don't know what he's doing. And actually, I was watching a few videos of people taking tours of it. I don't understand how this could be like a pub. Every room that I look at always just seems small. Maybe we were all much smaller back then when this was built.
They are
Probably.
So, good old Mr. John Humphreys, he accidentally dug up a grave that had several child skeletons down at the bottom of the staircase. So these children were probably the victims of ritual sacrifice. There's some history there that maybe was it abandoned at some point, and maybe people came in.
I think it was just the owners at the time. They were just practicing a lot of
in a
dark
while?
stuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
so-
They believe there was some Satanism going on there. At one
Right.
time.
Yeah,
and some
'Cause
sacrifices.
there was just a lot of
Sacrifices.
times where they're just passing through hands.
Yeah, okay.
And, yeah, whoever had it at the time.
So when he found these skeletal remains, the knives that they were murdered with were still inside their
freaked out.
bodies. You got scared?
Got so
Yeah,
scared.
it's knives and skeletons.
So people say that they hear childlike
spooky.
crying throughout the entire inn. At some point, he brought in stuffed animals. He's kind of a hoarder, okay? He was, I should say. He was kind of a hoarder. So he probably had all sorts of things come in. But at some point, he brought in stuffed animals. There was crying less often heard, but it was always still there. There's also a spirit of a young girl by the name of Rosie that has been seen floating through the hallways. And I was watching this YouTube channel. I've watched these guys a few times lately. Their YouTube channel's called Overnight, and they actually travel around and spend the night at places, or they stay there till like really late hours.
What an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Overnight, I wonder what they do.
And I kind of the first few videos I watched of them, I was like, yeah, they're okay. But the more I've kind of watched, I'm like, all right, I kind of like this channel. Anyway, it was about 4 or 5. There was 4 guys sitting around. They were sitting, well, 5 because there was a cameraman. But the cameraman's videoing 4 guys, and they're just talking. One person is from England, and he's been there a few times. And they're doing an EVP session, just talking, trying to hear some EVPs. And they're sitting around a barrel. So a barrel is almost being used as a tabletop, almost. So they got this barrel there, and they put a little plastic ball on top of the barrel. And I don't know exactly what this is called, but apparently if it's almost like a K2. It has like an EMF sensor to it.
Oh yeah, it looked sort of like a tri-field meter, but it wasn't a tri-field.
Yeah.
It was like a mix between the two of them almost.
Right. So when energy comes near it, it'll start lighting up. And they also put an actual K2 meter next to that. So they had heard, these guys, that the spirit in this room likes high energy, like good positive energy. So they're just kind of talking, and one of the four guys calls another guy a name just for fun, just kind of calls him a name. Then this plastic ball that's been sitting there for a few minutes now starts rolling around on this tabletop and lighting up. And then right next to it, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches away, there's a little hesitation, but a few seconds later, then the K2 starts going off. And this ball's just rolling around. I showed you guys the video. It was pretty good. It was pretty good evidence. And then at some point, they're later doing another EVP session. Well, they're not. They're just recording. They're recording their conversation. So I'm going to play this EVP.
So just real quick on the ball.
Yes.
It wasn't just like rolling around the barrel or anything. It was doing just a small circle, kind of like where it was sitting.
Right. Yeah, wobbling.
I've actually seen something like that happen before on a residential investigation that I was doing with Castle and Brandy. Castle being the guy that used to run the team that we were all on before. He had this big obsidian ball sitting on the floor, and it was right over a portal, and it started spinning in a circle.
Oh, interesting.
I unfortunately didn't get a video of it because I didn't have my camera or my phone on me, and I kept saying, "Hey, it'd be great if someone could pull their phone out and record that." And everyone just stared at me like, "What?"
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, no one got the
That'd
hint.
be awesome.
But yeah, I've actually seen something like that.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, this is a little plastic ball. Like I said, maybe
it's like a bouncy ball.
That's exactly like
up.
a slightly bigger than the normal bouncy ball you might think of.
It's one of those like bouncy balls where if you hit it on something, it lights up.
Yeah. So I thought it was pretty good evidence. And then they were in another room just recording themselves talking. And like I said, there's about 4 guys talking. So I'm going to play this EVP twice, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so let me play it twice first.
If they all start going off? Yeah. That's it. Only if they all start going off. Yeah.
Let me play it again. And yeah, obviously you hear the guys talking. Just ignore the guys talking. Listen for some background noise.
If they all start going off? Yeah. That's it. Only if they all start going off. Yeah.
You guys hear it?
Yeah, it sounds like Elmo.
It kind of does, yeah. You hear like a little like...
Play it one more time.
Okay.
If they all start going off? Yeah. That's it. Only if they all start going off. Yeah.
So that's a little girl.
Yeah, there's a little girl just kind of humming, maybe, I don't know. Kind of sounds like a humming.
She said something, but I can't make it out.
So you hear like
there was
actual
words, yeah.
Interesting.
It was funny when we were listening to it before. I hear it a lot better, obviously, on this. Because I thought I heard the girl's voice and then the guy's voice. This time I don't hear the guy's voice. It's just the girl's voice.
I think it's just maybe those guys. Maybe
it might be just the guys, but she's definitely saying something, but I can't make out what it is.
Yeah, so you guys, I'm going to play it 2 more times right now.
Okay.
And you guys, watching, listening, and maybe I'll try to post this on social media. Tell us what you guys think it says.
If they all start going off? Yeah. That's it. Only if they all start going off. Yeah. If they all start going off? Yeah. That's it. Only if they all start going off. Yeah.
That was pretty good. And they had another good EVP session. These guys, but they're using a spirit box. I don't know the area very well, so I don't know how much could it affect it. So, but anyway, they had some decent.
A lot of the shows that I was watching, these people's YouTube videos that they made while they were investigating, a lot of people keep getting touched in there.
Oh, it's actually going back to that session.
Didn't John get touched?
Oh my gosh, yeah, we're gonna go into John getting touched.
Yeah.
John, he was touched.
Going back to those guys sitting down at the barrel. Soon after the whole little ball started moving, much time has gone by. Not much evidence happened, but the guy that was joining them, that's local, because these guys are from the States. This YouTube channel, these guys, they're from the States here, but they had somebody that was local guiding them through. He's sitting there, and he jumps up freaking out, and they're like, he'll put your light down here. It felt like he said a cat brushed up against the back of his calf. But there was obviously no cat inside. Because he scared him because they were in the dark for a long time, and then all of a sudden he feels something brush up against the back of his calf.
Yeah,
like a cat.
They think that there's a cat and a dog spirit in there too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they found a petrified, mummified cat, like a 500-year-old cat that's body's all mummified.
Okay. Interesting.
They think that could be the cat walking around. Who knows?
500-year-old cat and the 1,000-year-old building built in 1145.
Meets all the protocols.
Yep.
Yeah.
Keeps meeting more protocols. So John's first night there at the house, he ended up getting pulled by his arm out of the bed. And then
He said, "I'm staying. This is it.
This is
I
it for
love
me."
This is a
this
gold
shit.
mine."
And then he also was getting his window banging on every night, and the bed also
That
being
was the prostitute.
dragging. Like the bed would get dragged, and so all these things would happen. So his first night getting dragged out of bed, and then also was visited by a succubus.
And again, soon after, his whole family was like, since day one, they've been having experiences. His whole family, they're like, "We're bouncing. We're out of here." And
So
he
again,
said,
it was his
"Nope."
wife and a daughter. He had a wife and a daughter. That's what
Yeah.
it was.
So he was like, "No, I'm staying."
Oh, yeah, I think the succubus might have been a little
Probably.
more friendly than his wife.
Yeah, he's probably like, you know what? This is probably
like,
better for me if you go.
Finally getting some.
Maybe it's better
I
for
have
all
no
of us.
It's better for the both of us.
So, I don't know. I didn't know much about incubus or succubus or anything like that from before. So that's all. This was all new to me. Like
They're
when I heard
sex
about this.
demons.
Yeah, the first time I saw this episode on Ghost Adventures, however many years that was ago.
13.
I mean, what? I
Yeah.
mean, why are they demons? Why can't they be like sex ghosts that are cool
Yeah,
to chill with?
exactly. Why are they demons? Why are they not
Why do we
just?
categorize them as demons?
They could be good things. To be doing good things for everybody.
I'm hearing the stories and I'm thinking, nothing sounds wrong to me here.
Nothing about that
yeah,
seems
no,
wrong.
they're evil. They have malicious intent.
So tell us more. What does that mean? They have malicious
So,
intent.
so the incubus is the male version that goes after the
We're just gonna
females.
assume it's male. Oh.
Yeah, I'm just gonna assume it's a male. But that one is, well, I guess he doesn't have to have a gender. That one goes after goes after female hormones,
Okay.
and then a succubus goes after male hormones.
Okay.
So the succubus tries to get the spunk from a dude, gives it to the incubus, and the incubus uses it to impregnate a woman, making a half demon, half human hybrid thing.
This is not good. This is an abomination.
Right.
I wonder if they've ever been successful, because I've never heard of these half human, half demon babies ever.
Yeah, the Minotaur.
Have you seen a minotaur?
They're real. Greek mythology doesn't lie to me.
So yeah, I don't know if they've ever been
So
successful.
the succubus is spunky.
No, they're just out there just jerking
Succubus.
off dudes in their sleep,
Succubus wants the spunk.
just for fun. Because I don't think they're going anywhere with it. What are you gonna do?
I've actually heard of people dealing with stuff like that before.
Well, yeah, dealing with it, but not ever having success
No.
from any of their.
But they're
No,
going to
but
keep
I do
trying.
know-
Dan.
Yeah, and I hope they do keep trying.
I do know I had one residential case that was brought to us on the old team, and the client straight up said he thought it was a succubus and that it was wanting sex from him. Because why? I don't know. That's what he said.
Okay.
He said he believes it was a succubus and it wanted sex from him. And so we started looking into it because this happened to be someone I know. That was a friend of mine. It wasn't just a random person. And I started looking into it, and the weird thing is at the time we had 3 different mediums we worked with. We've talked about Brandy. We've talked about Caden. Caden's been on the show. Brandy's been on the show. And then our other friend Brandy, all 3 gifted mediums. When we were looking into this case, thinking about accepting it, they all started having crazy issues going on in their lives. And when I went back to my friend and told her that, because it was her relative that was having the issue,
Okay.
I went to my friend and told her, like, hey, I think it might just be he relapsed on drugs or something. I don't think it's paranormal. And it was like the next day, all the crazy shit that was happening to everybody stopped. And then if you've ever watched the Ghost Adventures episode where he did the supposed Ted Bundy house up in Bountiful,
I didn't see that one, no.
he, I can't remember the name of the house, but there's a house up in Bountiful. Vincent Lords took him there. And I watched that episode with Brandy, and she actually said there was an incubus and succubus in that house.
Huh.
So they're a thing. They're real.
So she could see them?
Yeah, she could see them.
What did she describe? I'm very curious now. Did she describe what they look like?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I mean, you could always ask her, but I
Yeah.
don't remember if she described them. She just told me that they were there, and that we should never go to that house. So, because
So
those
they're
are
there and they got needs.
well, those things are even if they don't do like what they're said to do, they're still nasty, malicious entities that want to cause harm to people.
Want to bother people and yeah, okay.
They want to hurt you.
They don't want to just get spunky and freaky.
No.
Okay.
So they might just leave you with blue balls.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that is awful.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
That
don't
would
go.
be-
What a
Don't go.
tease.
Yeah, that's hurtful. You don't want that.
They also say that some people jump from the windows of this house to escape the incubus and succubus. That's one of the reasons why it became unsafe for the bed and breakfast.
Oh.
Because people were getting so freaked out by it at night.
So
and,
when John bought it, that was his intention, bed and
Yes.
breakfast? Okay.
and it only lasted for a few years. And then it
People were
just
jumping out to escape it.
I mean, yeah, so it got too they said it was too dangerous. My original thought was the dangerous part being the building being so old and kind of dilapidating and needing upkeeping. But the damn succubus and incubus had a part to play in this.
How dare they?
Sons of bees.
Sons of bees.
But so there's all the rooms of this house have shit going on. There's a ton of spirits in this house. One of the most haunted rooms is the room of the bishop's room, and they say, this is on the first floor with no less than 9 entities in that room.
Only 9?
Only 9. There's a friendly ghost, which is
Casper.
I like those.
Casper.
And this one also has this room has that little dog, the Cavalier King Charles dog.
What
So
does that mean?
that's the type of breed it is.
Okay.
So,
Like
they
the spirit of it?
Yeah, the
Okay.
spirit of that dog is usually seen in a corner of that room. They also have a spirit of a dark monk. There's spirits of bishops, nuns. They also believe that there was devil worshiping going on in that room at one point of some of the owners that have had it. Some people have claimed to be lifted and thrown. And the bed in that room will levitate. They'll hear screams of a man who died because his head was pushed into the fireplace. So they'll hear that guy.
Jeez.
They'll hear a spirit of a young woman. Well, they'll see the spirit of a young woman in there. And she appears from the ceiling upside down, hanging by her legs. That would be weird.
Yeah, no thank you.
That's pretty nuts.
Terrible way to die.
And then a Roman centurion has appeared on horseback right through the walls of the bishop's room, completely terrifying 2 plumbers who were working.
What?
How crazy is
Yeah.
that?
They had plumbing in the 1745.
No, this happened recently.
This
But-
was just yesterday.
This happened yesterday.
That building has plumbing.
Yeah, it has plumbing. Of course it
It's
does.
the inn.
Of course it does. It was built in 1145.
Well,
There was
duh.
tons of plumbing back then.
You update shit. Have you not
Well,
heard of updating shit?
John didn't update anything. He
He didn't have to. He bought
he
it in the
let-
60s.
he
It
let-
already was
He let
updated,
it
bro.
run. He let it go to hell.
Because he was a hoarder.
John was a terrible person.
I don't know if you saw this
I
in
don't
your
know. I
notes,
have no
but
idea.
in the bishop's room, I had heard that there was also a failed exorcism in that room.
A failed exorcism?
Uh-huh.
As in, what happened? How did
That's
it fail?
all
The
I
demon
heard.
didn't get away.
Or did the person die?
I don't know.
And now they're stuck in that room forever.
That was one of the 9.
Forever.
There was 9 rings.
And then, but that's
There
it. That's it. That's all I really had on the bishop's room.
Okay.
Though. Just those stories. And then you had the kitchen.
I have the kitchen.
Yeah, you're in the kitchen.
Yeah,
bud.
he's like, hey, fat guy, do the kitchen. I was like, okay. so the kitchen, it's not a very pleasant place, apparently. There was an 18-year-old man who entered the room during a ghost hunt, and he was forcefully thrown against the wall by an unseen force. This also apparently happened to Mr. Humphreys once. Mr. John Humphreys was also thrown up against the wall. There was a young couple that had run from the kitchen in a panic when they saw the spirit of a woman come up from the kitchen floor. There was also a lady with her baby that were found buried at the same spot after this happened, where they saw, where the woman came up out of the
Yeah.
floor. They found a woman and her baby buried there.
So it might be her spirit.
It's
Wow.
possible. Behind the bar that's adjoined to the kitchen, another young woman was found buried there.
Jeez.
She presented herself many times to John Humphreys' daughter, actually, Elizabeth. And she told her that she was murdered by a highwayman.
A highwayman.
A highwayman.
that
The
mean?
space, it's a guy that roamed the highway.
Highwayman.
He's a man.
He's on the highway.
The space between the roof that was used as a hiding space by two highwaymen. Perhaps one of them murdered the poor woman. So yes, that's what happened. That's what goes on in the kitchen. People get thrown up against the wall, and it's just like, it's probably a fat ghost like me going in there. Like, people want to get food, and they're like, no, it's my food.
So a
I don't share.
highwayman.
Joey doesn't share food.
A highwayman might be. It's a robber who would steal from travelers.
Oh, so
that makes more sense.
Yeah. So these highwaymen, they hid in the roof,
Okay, that all
and
makes sense.
they came down and killed this woman,
That all makes
according
sense.
to her. According to the ghost, these dudes killed her and
Should we
buried
go
her.
to the attic now?
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
go to the attic.
Okay. Attic is haunted.
What? Look down your shirt and spell attic. Ha 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 ha.
So people hear sounds coming up from above where it sounds like people. I was about to say people are being dragged. It sounds like something is being dragged across the floor. And then a former owner's daughter was murdered up there by hanging. And Caroline Humphreys, I'm not sure if that's the daughter or the wife
Sweet
of John,
Caroline.
but she used the attic as her bedroom. But you can't go all the way to the back of the attic because of the unstable floor. No upkeep was done up there. And then let's go out to the barn for a bit here.
All right.
It is said to be haunted by a 7-foot tall dark figure. He is violent and aggressive towards men, but favors a certain type of female. I'm not sure what that type is. Maybe good looking, just to them, thinking maybe. And this dark shadow appears to be in the doorway of the barn, and it might be protecting something.
Maybe
know.
more bodies buried in there.
Yeah. That'd be a good
Probably.
place.
So, one last thing about this place was when John put up this painting. He found a painting of a pastor, John Wesley. I don't know who this John Wesley is, but anyways, he liked this painting, put it up on in the stairwell, and the moment he put that up, they said all hell broke loose in the house. It said doors that had been closed for years were swinging open and slamming shut, and then his daughter's dog didn't even dare enter the stairwell when that painting was up. It's unnecessary to say that it didn't hang there very long. So I guess as soon as they took it down, all that slamming, all that stopped.
Was.
Yeah.
I would probably take it down too.
Yeah, for sure.
There's another room.
Which room?
The witch's room.
Yeah.
The witch room. See?
Yeah.
He knew.
Which room?
The witch room? The witch's room.
Take us there, Tim.
Okay, it's over
Or
there.
Beaker.
It's
Beaker.
right there. Okay. It's next to the other rooms. So it's said to be haunted by a woman that was burned at the stake in the 1500s. And she was accused of being a witch, which is why it's a witch's
I
room.
miss those days.
Yeah.
It's good old days.
And they say in that room, a high priestess has been spotted sitting on the bed. And again, the centurion walks through there as well. They believe that the woman that was hung still haunts that room there as well, because I guess she took refuge at the inn.
She was hiding there.
She was hiding there before they found her, and
Someone ratted her out.
and they got her and they burned her.
Snitches.
Well, snitches get stitches, or in this case, witches get burned.
But yeah, that was the ancient Ram Inn. That's really
What is it used for today?
right now. It's just ghost hunts.
So John Humphreys passed away in 2017.
Yeah, so-
and his daughter is in control of it now.
Right.
They got a steal on this. How much was it?
2,600 pounds. Back in '68. So yeah.
I'm probably worth over. I don't know the
Millions.
size. I don't know the size of it. So I shouldn't
And I
say.
guess at one point they were trying to tear this place down to widen the highway there, and he was fighting to keep this thing from doing that. And then once they realized how old the building was, they're like, "Oh yeah, we can't do that."
It's a
And then,
historical landmark.
Yeah, and I
so we're
guess
500 years old. It's haunted.
I guess when he bought this, he bought it because they were the building. I think they were using it, whatever it was being used for before he bought it. They shut down because they were going to widen the highway and tear that building down. From what I believed, I thought I heard something like that.
Maybe.
But then when he bought it, and they were wanted to do that, he let them know what had gone on, and then the person who was going to tear it down was like, "Oh, if I would have known that, I would have never I would have never closed this place down.
So right now, 2,600 pounds is about $3,100 US.
Okay.
It's a steal.
That's a steal.
Yeah.
But yeah, that place was. I'm surprised I didn't do this place, choose this place earlier, just because I remember this place had a lot going on. But anyways, yeah, that was this week.
Yeah, I thought we did this before, but nope, we have not.
Well,
So, if you enjoy the show, we thank you for listening. Follow us on social media, Instagram and Facebook, evp.pod. If you want to email us some stories that you want us to share, or if you want to be on the show, or if you just want to, chat with us, evp.pod@gmail.com. You can also go to our affiliate link to buy ghost hunting gear from Ghost Stop. Use our link, though. We get money. We got to buy that ghost canoe. We've downgraded from a yacht.
we'll take a canoe for now.
Yes.
Well, should we call that an episode then?
Yep.
All right, Ghost, you don't play that.
Peace out, butterflies.
ATTIC. But
This is the EVP Podcast.